I'm Chris, you're watching Fragmental. In today's video, I'm going to be answering some very important fragrance questions. Stay tuned to FM. So this is a fun tag video that's going around called Show Me Your Spritz. It was started by Brenda from the excellent YouTube channel Moody Boo Reviews, so I'll leave a link to her channel down below. Thanks Brenda for kicking off this fun little tag. So there are 9 categories or 9 questions designed to give you a bit more of an insight into our thoughts on fragrances. So quite a few people have already done this, so do search for the Show Me Your Spritz videos. I was actually tagged 3 times, I think, unless there were any more people that tagged me and I didn't realise. Sorry about that if that's the case. The people who tagged me are Claire from the Surfygurly channel, and Tony from Predicted, and Nigel from the channel 2 Cents Worth. I'll leave a link to all the channels that tagged me in the description, and I will also link Brenda's channel Moody Boo Reviews, so do go and check out all those other channels if you haven't done already. Okay, let's get into this. The first category is called Unicorns Are Real. The idea behind this one is it has to be a fragrance that you've chased for a long time, something that you really wanted and it just took you a while to get your hands on this. So the fragrance I'm going to talk about is one of the most loved fragrances in the fragrance community. From what I see on Instagram and YouTube, most serious collectors will have this in their collection. The reason it took me so long to get this fragrance was, first of all, someone very kindly sent me a decant and I was really enjoying it. I was wearing it sparingly because there wasn't much, I had about 5 ml. And then one day, I've told this story before, I was downstairs and suddenly I smelled this amazing smell wafting down the stairs, and my kids had been upstairs and just having some fun, spraying some fragrances, but they drained my decant of this one. The fragrance that I chased for the longest time is Andy Towers' L'air de Desert Marocain. You can't get this in sales, you can't get this in discounters. You know, I think I just felt like I'll hold out for a deal. I'll look on a Facebook group, I'll look online for people selling partial bottles, but when people buy this, they tend to want to hang on to it. So it's very rare you're going to find a good deal. So in the end, I ended up paying full retail for this one. I bought this at the beginning of this year and I could not be happier just to know it's sitting there on the shelf and I've got access to it whenever I want. So what I get from this is lots of patchouli, I get some rose and some woods. It's got a sweet powdery quality to it and almost like there's a sweet dampness to it as well, is how I would describe it. Imagine you're in a forest and it's just rained and things are starting to dry out and you get the sweet smell of the damp woods. It kind of makes me think a little bit of that. A lot of people will class this one as a masterpiece and I would agree. I think Andy just hit the sweet spot with this one. It's a beautiful fragrance. If you've not tried this, then I would urge you to at least get a decant, get a sample. There's plenty of places online you can get samples. L'air de Desert Marocain is a beautiful fragrance and it was my unicorn. Next category is House of the Rising Scent. So this is a house that has been newly discovered that we're really enjoying, and a house that's just come onto the scene this year and is getting very positive talk on Instagram and on YouTube, is the Swedish niche house of Swedoft. I have several of their fragrances. They very kindly sent me them and I've done some reviews on these. Rasputin is one that gets a lot of buzz. So this is kind of an aromatic fougere, but it has some oriental qualities. So it does have that classic cologne style. It's spicy and lively, but it has some sweetness as well. Sweet, spicy aspect. Maybe even a little bit boozy as well. It's pretty unique. It smells high quality. I think it's one of those fragrances that is just class and so versatile. Also, they do Cambodian oud, which I have, which is very similar to Tom Ford's Oud Wood, but I think lasts a little bit longer, bit better performance, smells a little bit more natural. And my favourite of the house is called Royal Satisfaction, and this is a light, kind of airy, uplifting tobacco fragrance. So I think it's more of a tobacco leaf, and it has this gorgeous sweetness. It's got little sprinkles of gourmand nuances, but it's not a full gourmand at all. You might think with it containing tobacco that it could be a heavy fragrance. It's absolutely not. It's a fragrance that again is very versatile. If you want to wear a tobacco fragrance all year round, Royal Satisfaction is a banger. And also the performance on all these fragrances is brilliant. I get great projection, great longevity. Sweet Oft are a house to really look out for for the rest of this year and the coming years. I'm sure they're going to be around for a long time. Moving on to Heart the Hype. So this is where we agree with the hype that has been bestowed on a certain fragrance. This is one of the most hyped designer fragrances. You see this in so many spring, particularly summer lists. I'm talking about Armani's Acqua di Gio Profumo. So at first, I did not heart the hype of this. I think it had been so hyped. I'd smelled this in duty free a couple of times and in stores, and I was a little underwhelmed, if I'm honest. I was just thinking, what is the hype? What is so good about this fragrance that people love it so much? So I never bought it. It's not that I didn't like it, but I just think the hype machine was getting in the way. So I did end up buying this. I got a deal on it, and you know, we're working things out. Acqua di Gio Profumo and I, we're working on our relationship. The first time I wore it, it was a colder day, and I didn't really smell it that much on me. It didn't really seem to last very long. I was a little bit disappointed. So I will say that I don't think cooler days is the time to wear this fragrance. I think warmer days in the spring or in the summer. So I have worn it a few times now. The weather's warming up a little bit here, and I'm getting it. I'm starting to enjoy it. The more I wear it, I'm starting to believe the hype on this one, because the last couple of times I've worn it, I've actually thought, yes, okay, we're getting somewhere now. We're getting somewhere. I think it just takes a bit of time to just remove that hype blockage that can sometimes get in the way. But I'm getting there with it, and I've been enjoying wearing this, and I can't wait to wear it more through the summer. So a bit of an interesting take on this, because it's not something that I immediately loved, but it's definitely growing on me more and more and more, and I think pretty soon, probably by the time the summer designer list videos come out, this one may make an appearance, just to be a cliche. Next category is called Renounce the Ounce. So this is a fragrance where we don't get the hype, where so many people talk about this fragrance and big this fragrance up, and I just don't agree. The fragrance I'm going to mention is an Aventus cologne, which probably explains why so many people rave about this fragrance, and it is very cheap, so that's another reason why so many people talk about it. It's Club de Nuit Intense Man from Armaf. Now I don't have a bottle to show you because I don't have a bottle, I don't want a bottle. I've got a sample, I've worn it a couple of times, I've given it a couple of chances, and I just cannot get past the opening. The opening is harsh and abrasive, not Aventus in the slightest. Aventus is smooth and just, it's rich and smells natural, whereas Club de Nuit Intense Man is like a cleaning product, like a disinfectant. I sprayed this the first time and I couldn't really believe, I just didn't get why people were hyping it so much. Alright, it does settle down after the first 30 minutes or so and aligns a little bit more with Aventus, but there are so many other good Aventus inspired fragrances out there that are much cheaper than Aventus, and I don't have to persevere with an awful opening. A really good one is L'Aventure from Al Haramain, and also I'm really happy with the perfume palette interpretations. They do several different variations for different batches, and for me they're all more enjoyable than Club de Nuit Intense Man, so it's a big fat no from me. Next category is Love is Blind Buying. So this is a fragrance that we blind bought and we were very happy with our blind buy. I very rarely blind buy fragrances. I don't think there's much of a need to. We can go in stores, we can smell them, we can buy samples relatively cheaply, we can buy clones to give us an idea of what something smells like, so we don't have to pay full retail. I do blind buy new releases just purely so I can get videos out on those, But the only fragrance that I have blind bought, I think this is the only one, and this was off the back of a BFL review, and he loved it so much, I thought, I trust that guy. I'm gonna buy this fragrance. It arrived, I took it out the box, I smelled it, and I just thought, oh, Carlos, what have you done to me? This is what you get for a blind buy, and it wasn't cheap either. So I'm talking about Camel from the house of Zoologist. So I smelled this, and initially it was the strongest, most intense fragrance smell I'd smelt at that time, because it was quite early on into me kind of really getting into niche fragrances. But you know what? After 2 minutes of this on my skin, I got it. I suddenly thought, okay, I am used to this now, and it is absolutely amazing. So this is a very Middle Eastern smelling type of scent. I guess with the camel on there, it's reminiscent of the desert and the Middle East. It's got a gorgeous fruitiness. There's a date note in here, which is just exquisite. And there's myrrh and frankincense, I think. So it's just a very mysterious, intoxicating scent, quite a heavy scent, but the resins and the fruits just work so well. And I think it is more of a fragrance to wear in maybe spring, but definitely autumn and winter. Could be a little bit too heavy in the summer, although, you know, you can get away with wearing whatever, whenever. If you haven't tried Camel from Zoologist, then I can recommend it. I think it's my favourite from the house, and it's definitely a blind buy that I don't regret. Next category is Crystal Baller, and this is a fragrance that I'm really anticipating the release of. So one of my favourite houses is Parfums de Marly. They have a fragrance called Pegasus. Now, I really enjoy Pegasus, but I wouldn't say it's in my top 5 of Parfums de Marly fragrances. However, they have a brand new release coming, which I've smelled. I've had the good fortune to smell it in New York when I met up with Yvonne Jacqueline from Parfums de Marly, and it is Pegasus Exclusive. So they have Leighton Exclusive, this is Pegasus Exclusive, and I love it. It's got that creaminess of the almond that you get with Pegasus, but it's got more structure, more attitude, it's got a bit more punch to it. I think it's woodier. Right up my street, and I had the pleasure of having a spray on skin. So I wore it for an evening, and I've got to say, I just could not stop smelling it. I think it's a wonderful fragrance. I'm really excited for when this gets released. I'd love to hear the world's opinions on it when it comes out, because I think it's going to be a good release for Parfums de Marly. So even though I have smelled it, I am anticipating it massively, and I will certainly be grabbing a bottle of it when it's released. Moving on to I Take It Rare. So this is a fragrance that we think few other people will have. I've got one here that is one of the most well-known fragrances in the world. I think probably one of the oldest fragrances in the world that is still available right now. It's French, it's amazing. It's from the house of Guerlain, and it's Shalimar. And I can hear you all saying, we've all got Shalimar, Chris. It's not rare. Why are you including it in this section? Well, do you have a 1960s bottle of Shalimar? X-straight, vintage. I'm sure some of you do, but I think it's quite rare, and I don't think many people have the old juice, which smells a little bit different. And obviously over time, this has probably lost a few of its top notes, and I think it's probably become more full-bodied. But I just got a little 7.5ml of this, and it's in its original box. And when I open it, I just get the amazing smell of Shalimar. And the smell of this reminds me of researching the fragrance. I actually saw Wafts from the Loft, Dan from the channel Wafts from the Loft, talking about an eBay deal he'd found on one of these vintage bottles of X-straight. So I started my own little journey, and I really enjoyed going into this deep dive of research into finding out about the different bottles, the different companies that made the different bottles, and how you could tell which era each fragrance came from. So I spent weeks looking into this. And of course, if you go on eBay, You might get the odd rare deal, but they're pretty expensive even for these small ones. I went onto Etsy and there's a few on there, not many, just a handful, and I kept coming back to this one thinking, is it too good to be true? Because it wasn't very much. I think I got a great deal on this. Anyway, I pulled the trigger on this one, and you know, it was a genuine seller, luckily for me. So yeah, this is 1960s Shalimar. It smells amazing. I love it. I'm glad to have it. I use this very, very sparingly, but I think it suits this category pretty well. Next category is I am stuck on Bandaid. So this is where we choose a fragrance that suits someone either in a band, a singer or an actor, someone famous, someone that we respect, someone that we admire. I love acting. I'm an actor myself. So I'm going to choose an actor for this, and I'm going to choose, I think it's appropriate to choose the actor who I really respect and admire, but also there's a few people that I get told I look like in the comments on my channel. Daniel Craig crops up quite a bit. I don't see it myself, but by far the actor that people tell me most that I look like is Tom Hiddleston. If you don't know Tom Hiddleston, great actor, been in loads of things, very famous for playing Loki in the Marvel Universe films. So I'm going to scent Tom, and I think Tom's a stylish guy, he's a sophisticated guy, he dresses really well. So I'm going to go with a very stylish designer house for his fragrance. I think he's a modern man, so I think he would go for something that wasn't so classic smelling. I think it would be creative and modern and quite unique. But also, we know he's got a bit of a mischievous side, bit of a bad boy side, playing Loki.
I am a god, you dull creature.
So it has to be something that reflects all those things. The house I'm choosing is Gucci. The fragrance I am choosing is Gucci Guilty Absolute. This is a beautiful scent. It's quite daring for Gucci and for Alberto Marias, who composed this one, but I think it would suit Tom perfectly. I think it would suit him dressed up, looking stylish in a suit. I think it would suit him wearing this as Loki, because it's got quite an intense leather in here, some very dry, spicy woods, so it's creative, it's a little bit naughty, a little bit bad boy, a little bit mischievous. I think Tom would rock Gucci Guilty Absolute perfectly, and it fits this Bandaid section because it actually smells a bit like a Bandaid. On to the final section, and it's called Brain Farts Stink Too, which is just a different way of saying what is your most expensive regret. Okay, this might surprise you. My most expensive regret is my favourite fragrance, and I'm talking about Enigma from Roja Parfums. I think this is the most expensive fragrance I ever bought. I haven't bought one as expensive as this since I bought this one, or before this one. I spent £250 on 50ml of eau de parfum. I'd been through various decants of Enigma and I just had to have a bottle. I just thought there's no way I'm going to just keep buying decants. I need a bottle. So I bought it from Selfridges at full retail. At the time, I didn't regret it because I thought I've got Enigma and it'll probably last me the rest of my life because you know, it's not a fragrance I'm wearing every day. But then I met Roja and he gave me a bottle of the Parfum. I am extremely, extremely grateful. I met Roja in Milan. I interviewed him and he knew that Enigma was my favourite fragrance, and as a lovely gift, he very, very kindly gave me a bottle of the Parfum of Enigma. So really that turned this one into a bit of a regret because I didn't need it. I would choose to wear the Parfum over this one. I think it's a little richer. I think it lasts a little bit longer, although there's not that much of a difference. So if you are looking at buying Enigma, then actually this is now discontinued. You can't buy this one anymore, so I believe you can buy the Parfum and you can buy the Parfum Cologne of Enigma. Both of those are fantastic. If you really want to get a good handle on what Enigma smells like, either get a sample or if you're willing to buy a bottle, then I think what you pay for 100 ml of Enigma in the Parfum cologne line is, if you like that DNA, it's well worth the purchase. So yes, the EDP is a regret because it's a little bit redundant. The only reason I'm hanging on to this now is because I think it's discontinued. So if it becomes a highly sought after fragrance, if it becomes rare and hard to get, I thought it might just be worth holding on to this. You never know. There we go. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of information about my fragrances and my fragrance journey that you may not have known. Some you might have been surprised at. I thought it was fun. I thought it was just a fun thing to do. All right, so I just need to tag a few people. I'm going to do 3 tags. The first one is Dan from the Mr. Smelly 1977 channel. Dan, love to see your answers to these questions. I will also tag the lovely Clemence from Clemence CC Fragrance. Clemence is a gorgeous French lady who lives in London and has a fantastic YouTube channel that's really growing. So you are tagged as well, Clemence. And I'm gonna tag someone on the other side of the pond. We can't leave out our American cousins. I don't know why this person just pops into my head randomly, but they do. I am gonna tag Cubaknow. So Cubaknow in New York, love your videos, I think you'll give us a really good, fun, different, unique take on these questions. So over to you guys, you are tagged. See if you can keep the ball rolling on this, if you think this video idea speaks to you. If not, don't worry, I'm just fulfilling my part in this whole tag chain thing. Okay, so there it is. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.